All right, good evening from Dubai, everybody. Welcome to our May session of Chai, Coffee, and Research with myself, Dr. Naziha Ali. We usually do this session once a month, and we have surprise guests every month who talk to us about research they've done, or some publication, or some achievement and some work in the field of English language teaching. Tonight is a little bit different because tonight I have a group of friends with me who are part of the TESOL International Global Education Professional Learning Network. And we will be discussing global education in our individual contexts. And I'm part of the Global Education Professional Learning Network too, which is why all my friends are here on my own Zoom and YouTube channel tonight. So for the benefit of those who are joining in a little later or who may have wanted to attend but couldn't attend tonight because of other commitments, this session will be put on my YouTube channel, and I will share a link at the end of this session. So that is the reason it is being recorded. At the moment, if your friends cannot log on to Zoom, please let them know that this is live on Facebook as well. So as we start, I will first take this opportunity to introduce my colleagues who are here as part of the Global Education PLN, as we refer to it in a short form. The first person, I suppose I should spotlight all of you to for people to be able to see you. So the first person I'm going to spotlight is Glenda Gallardo, my beautiful friend from Peru. She is the chair of the Global Education PLN. And Glenda, would you like to quickly tell everybody where you work and what you do so that I don't talk continuously?
Yes, thank you very much. Yes, I'm Glenda Gallardo. I'm from Lima, from Peru. See my flag. And well, I've been an English language teacher for more than 20 years. I've worked at different levels. I began teaching primary school and then I went into secondary. And nowadays I work at 2 universities where I teach English. And as well as that, I serve in TESOL International as the Global Education Leader and as well in the review of proposals for the convention. Yes, well, that's a little bit about myself, and I'm very happy to see you here with us today. Now, who's next?
Thank you. Thank you so much, Glenda. It's lovely to have you here tonight. So I will now add the spotlight to our friend Mauricio from Colombia.
Hello, thank you for inviting me to be here. My name is Mauricio. I'm from Medellin, Colombia, and I've been teaching English for like 20 years. And also I've been a TESOL member for more than 10 years. Currently, I'm working as a virtual teacher in a program that we have in Colombia through the British Council. And I've been involved in global education for almost like 20 years as well. And I do like this topic. And actually, this is my flag. I have it with me now.
Oh,
yeah.
great. Great. Yeah, it looks like you'll have to remove my coffee cup for the flag to be visible. So it's lovely.
Okay. I'll show it later.
Thank you, Mauricio, for joining us. And we're looking forward to hearing about your work in a little while when we start talking.
All right.
My third friend and colleague is Fayyaz from Saudi Arabia, and he's got the flag of Saudi on the coffee cup.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Amazing. Guys, I'm jealous now.
Tell us about you, Fayyaz. Where do you work?
Thank you so much. I'm happy to be part of this team, and I'm glad that I'm here sharing the screen with all of you. And here I will be I'm basically from Pakistan, but most of my teaching experience has been here in Saudi Arabia. So that's why you see that flag in my background. So I graduated from National University of Modern Languages. Before that, I did my master's in human development. And that these two things actually relate to my experience when I talk about global education and its themes. And then after teaching there for 8 years at National University of Modern Languages, I moved to Saudi Arabia. I taught at King Saud University. Then I moved here to a private university, that is Al Yamama University, and I'm here with you. I'm regularly presenting on different platforms on different themes of ESL, TESOL. I've been active for last few years in presenting and attending different sessions. And I'm happy to be here with all of you today. Thank you.
Thank you, Fayyaz. And that's true. Fayyaz is very active in all of the professional development avenues that he mentioned. We're so happy to have you here tonight with us, Fayyaz. My fourth colleague and friend here is Sherihan. And Sherihan talks to us from Egypt. Go ahead, Sherihan, introduce yourself.
All right. It's a pleasure to be with all of you today. I'm Sherihan Morsi from Egypt, living in Alex. It's a kind of a coastal city where you can see the sea and enjoy the breeze there. All right. I am a vice principal at for the lower grades at a brilliant language school. It's a very well-reputed school in Alexandria. Also, I am a Nile TESOL K-12 seat in the board of directors and the Nile TESOL EIE SIG, which is English for Inclusive Education coordinator, where we look for some kind of important things and important facilitating things for teachers who are interested about teaching students with difficulties and different disabilities. I have been graduated from the Faculty of Science, and then I received an EFL diploma from the Faculty of Education at Alexandria University. I am a TEFL and TESOL certified trainer, and also a Relo mentor trainer from the US Embassy, and an e-teacher alumna, an open alumna. I've been active presenting at ILACE conference, Nile TESOL conference, and that's it. And I'm very happy to be with all of you today.
That's not it, Sherihan, that's a lot. Thank you for introducing yourself, and thank you for being here tonight. And then, of course, the fifth member of the Global Education PLN is myself. So you can see 5 of us here. I am originally from Pakistan, but I've spent 20 years of my working life in Dubai, where I originally started my career. For those of you who don't know me, I should have said my name at the start of the session. I just assumed that if you're in my Chai Coffee research session, you just know me, and so you're here. But yes, so. Okay, slight disturbance that I heard. I think it was somebody's microphone. So I just gone ahead and muted everybody. Okay, so I worked for Emirates Airline for a very long time before I took a detour into Pakistan for about 4 years and did some teacher training there. And now I'm back in Dubai working for an institution called Global Business Studies, where I teach English language. And also it allows me to do some research in areas that I'm interested in. So I like the flexibility of time I have here. These sessions, the Chai Coffee and Research sessions, are a monthly feature. And after today, I believe the Global Education PLN will resurface a couple of times on this channel, because there are lots of things that we want to talk to you about. And we are starting tonight for us in the Middle East, and today for you in other parts of the world. We're starting with a session that introduces the Global Education Professional Learning Network to members who are participating in this Zoom session tonight and on Facebook Live otherwise. So I will now shift the stage or the microphone to Glenda, because she's the chair of this professional learning network, and she will tell us a little bit about what this PLN actually is and what our intentions are. So Glenda, if I may invite you to speak for a bit.
Yes, thank you. Thank you very much. Yes, Global Education PLN is it's one of the 13 professional learning networks that TESOL International has. And we have, well, our statement of purpose is this one. So the Global Education PLN, as you can see the name global, it covers a broad, diverse range and exchange of content and activities based on the emerging academic field of global education, focusing on professional development related to high quality instruction of ESL or EFL, relevant to the needs of learners worldwide in the 21st century. So it covers many things, and tonight or this afternoon or this morning, wherever you are from, we are going to see how this is working in our contexts. Yes, and hopefully we're going to listen to you and get also your insights and tips on how this is working in your different countries. Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Glenda. And I think it would be nice to introduce who every member in the team is, what our roles are. Could you just tell the members of the audience who we are? We've given our names, but we haven't told them what we do in the PLN.
Yes, in the PLN, well, there are different positions. I am the chair, and for example, Mauricio, it's the community manager. So he is in charge of posting information, receiving your comments, and also if there is a question that we can discuss, so then it's discussed in the area we have in TESOL International if you're a member. And then Fayyaz is in charge of the library and receiving and uploading a material. Right now, TESOL International is changing the website, so it's like we are in a gap, sort of gap, and they are moving things and making changes to it. That's why we haven't done much recently. And well, Fayyaz is very welcome to receive material, to share any PDF or information that you have that is relevant for other colleagues. And Sherihan is in charge of the webinars, organizing the webinars and bringing panelists or receiving volunteers who would like to maybe to have a next event like this, and then organizing it and publishing it on the TESOL area. And Naziha Preciosa, you are in charge of you tell them.
The archives. I'm supposed to be what we call the historian. So any of our resources that are historic, and it's a kind of a complementary role to the librarian. So we sort of collect new and old materials and keep it together. So those of you who intend to become our members of the Global Education PLN, you would want to have access to resources, or you would want to submit some resources from your context, and that's where my role would come in. So you would share that with me. So yeah,
and that's it.
That's it. So we're quite a dynamic team, and a lot of things that we are doing in the Professional Learning Network are relatively new. And so in terms of what happens in different contexts, which is why we've decided to start by first sharing with you how we implement global education in our context, or what our experiences are, so that we can build up a resource library and also have active participation from members, both old and new, not just at this forum, but also at TESOL International, at IATEFL, at your regional conferences, everywhere, as much as possible because this is the need of the hour. So we did tell you the countries that we belong to. We're going to just quickly tell you a little bit about what actually our countries are like. So we'll just take a minute, we'll go around and share what we actually, where we come from, because chances are that not everybody knows what Pakistan is, where it is, or where maybe Peru is, if you're in the Middle Eastern or Eastern part of the world. I'll take the liberty of starting, since I'm already speaking, by talking about Pakistan. Now, that is my native country, and we're not going to display on any slides at the moment because we'd like you to look at us, and our coffee cups. So here's what I'd like to tell you. Well, Pakistan really is, it's not a huge country, but we do have a population of about 23 million inhabitants. And of these 23 million, the majority of our population is rural, which is literally 64%. So that's quite a lot. Our population consists of a variety of ethnic backgrounds. We do have 4 provinces in the country, and the culture of each province is incredibly different. The majority of our population belongs to the Muslim religion, and our national language is Urdu. Well, our policies do keep changing, and I will talk a little bit about that as I come to how global education unfolds in our context. But so far, Urdu has been the national language parallel to English language. But as of this moment, as I speak, there are efforts by the current government to make Urdu the formal official language in all government sectors instead of English. So all our documentation will also be in Urdu. So that's what I can tell you about the language at the moment. And also our curriculum in higher education is decided by the Higher Education Commission. We do have private schools and we do have public schools, and I think that is relatively a similar case in every country in the world. So aside from having our own national curriculum, we also have the Cambridge curriculum, which is most popular in private schooling systems. And I'll tell you a little bit more a little later because I promised to speak briefly at the moment. So I suppose over to you, Glenda, and then we'll just move around the block.
Yes, thank you very much. Well, I'm from Peru, and well, Peru, it's, well, as you know, it's in South America, and in this part of the world, yes, my country, just as, well, as you might imagine, this part of the world speaks Spanish mostly, except for Brazil, which is our neighbor. So my language, my mother tongue is Spanish. And but it's not the only language that we speak in Peru. In Peru, apart from Spanish, there is 13% of the population that speaks Quechua, yes, and also Aymara. So those are the main languages: Spanish, Quechua, and Aymara. And apart from that, I can tell you that Peru, it's a very, very varied country. Yes, we have a rainforest, we have deserts, we have here in the capital city where I am from, just like Sherihan mentioned, we have the coastline. So it's the beach is 20 to 30 minutes away from where I live. And so we have very beautiful landscapes, we have deserts, sand dunes. We don't have camels. We brought camels to our country just to make it look like Egypt, because we have deserts and sand dunes, and it's possible to see them here, but they are not originally from Peru. But that's a funny part. But anyway, so as you can imagine, the geography is very different, and because it's very different, sometimes the education that you see in the different towns of Peru varies because of the difficulty to get to the area. So as you may imagine, we have both private and also public schools. Normally, the less fortunate people in my country have in the very deep areas of Peru where it's difficult to get, we have public schools. It's very, very uncommon to have a private school unless there is a mining area, and because of the mine and the international company that is in the area, there would be a private school. We have also international schools, and in those international schools, well, education is like maybe it is in other parts of the world, but we also have the Ministry of Education, that is the one that regulates what we are going to do and to teach. And in the case of English, yes, in the Ministry of Education also has a policy for having English into the curriculum. But if it's a public school, you only get to learn English when you are in secondary. For example, I studied at a public school, so the first time I encountered English was when I was in the first grade of secondary. Yes, and that's when I started learning about it. If you are in the private sector, however, you start learning English when you are in preschool, right? So it's very different realities depending where you are from. And we are, at the moment, we are 33.72 million inhabitants, and living in the capital, around 14,000. Yes, it's overcrowded. Lima is overcrowded, but it's where you get access to almost everything. The best universities, the best schools continue to be here in the capital city. Well, that's all about Lima, Peru. Now I would like to know who wants to go on. Maybe for a change, maybe Fayyaz. Yes, so from Peru, we go to...
Back to the Middle East.
Okay. All right. Okay. I would like to share my screen here. Just give me a minute, please. Right. Okay. Okay. Fine. Okay. So let me just share here quickly. If you could please allow me to share my screen.
I think you can. It's
All right.
Can you see the option now?
Yes. Yes, I can. So let me go full screen. And here we go. All right. Okay. So as you can see here on the screen, that as I'm placed here, positioned here in Saudi Arabia, I've been here for more than a decade now. So I can speak about my different experiences from here. So to start with the Saudi context, population of Saudi Arabia is 35 million. And out of this 35 million, a considerable number of inhabitants is like, foreigners who come mostly from India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, and some other nationalities as well. So introduction of English and introduction of modern urban lifestyle here in Saudi Arabia is actually very closely connected with the discovery of oil. Even before the discovery of oil, the major population was centered around Jeddah, Mecca, Medina, because these were the places which were having a lot of contact with the outside world through seaports. And because of the religious importance of Mecca, a lot of people traveled for Umrah and Hajj, which are two the most important, events, religious events in Muslim world. So English actually was there in public schools and mostly in private schools, but in some public schools in Saudi Arabia in late 1920s. But the biggest change in the lifestyle in every aspect of life in Saudi Arabia came in late 1930s, when in 1938 an American California-based company discovered oil in Dhahran. And after that, all urban, social, industrial, educational development started happening in Saudi Arabia. And then like when we talk about infrastructure, when you talk about the infrastructure of cities, towns, it also started developing after that. So the result of it is that now more than 85% of population lives in urban areas, basically 6 big cities. So the education and schooling education at every level is a big part of this kind of development, especially during last 10 years. But there has been an issue with language of instruction. So the language of instruction in most cases, it was Arabic, but with the new developments, new urbanization, there was a need to be implemented in schools. So but it happened very gradually. It happened rather slowly. So because of the pride the local population takes in Arabic, so they took it step by step. So first English was introduced in grade 7, and then 6, and then 5th and 4th, and then finally in grade 1 it was introduced just in 2021. So even today the Arabic dominates in different educational context situations as the language of instruction. So I would like to go to the next screen. I can't move it. I don't know. Wait. Yeah. Okay. So here you can see a chart. On this chart, you can see 7 aspects of global knowledge index. So here in the rank, you can see what is happening in the other parts of the world. And at the top of each bar, you can see how many measures, or what kind of measures, or up the level of measures which have been taken to develop these different values. So in these values, you can see first pre-university education, technical vocational education and training, higher education, research, development and innovation, information and communications technology, economy, and general enabling environment like social life, city life, like that. So you can see the gap. You can see the gap that what's happening in the other parts of the world, which are here at the bottom, and what's happening in different aspects, what kind of measures like regularly have been taken in Saudi Arabia. So still a lot has to be achieved. And on the other side of the screen, you can see that just quite recently, Saudi Arabia has added a number of universities to its educational structure. And this chart actually shows you the like a ranking of the efforts or the measures which universities have been taking to receive international accreditation and recognition. And like in last year, the number of these universities who were actually doing a lot of effort in that regard has reached up to 22. That's all from me. Thank you so much.
Thank you,
Yes.
Fayyaz. Who would like to, Sherihan, perhaps you'd like to speak a little bit about Egypt, and then
Sure.
Mauricio, and then we'll move on. Yeah.
Okay. As you all know, Egypt is a very populated country. We have about 109.3 million population. The official language in Egypt is Arabic, of course, and the official religion is it's Muslim. We are most of us are Muslims. We have different types of education. We have the public education, and we have the national education, where most of us are having in Egypt. It's more like into what Glenda was saying in Peru, where we have the KG stage, the primary stage or the elementary stage, the preparatory stage, and the senior one. After it, we join college. It started now, since starting from 2015, we started having English in the KG stage in the national system, which is the public system, and to be taken by the students and studied by the students since the KG starts until the senior. We also have, parallel to this educational system, is the Azhar system, where we have the same 6 years of primary stage, the 3 preparatory stage, and of course the 3 finally the secondary stage. We are in Egypt here. We started to have more into new era of education, using the global education, which is the era of reaching it, where we will have it and apply it till 2030, where we are going to have the new life system skills, the new global educational skills, where we are starting to have since 2015, and we are working on till 2030. And that's it for what we have as an educational system in Egypt, briefly.
Thank you so much, Sherihan. I think we're all going to fly back to the other side of the world again and have Mauricio tell us about his context.
All right, thank you. So yeah, let me start by telling that I am Glenda's neighbor. Yeah, Colombia. We are next to Peru. We are in South America. Actually, our capital city is Bogota, but I am from Medellin, the second largest city in Colombia. This is our flag. And let me tell you something about what is going on when it comes to global education and the resources that we have in Colombia. Actually, in Colombia, we have a curriculum that is supposed to be followed by elementary school teachers as well as high school teachers. It is called suggested curriculum structure and needs to be implemented in the whole country. All teachers have the booklets with all the functions, the grammar content, the competencies that our students are supposed to achieve. Each grade, high school, elementary schools, they have their own basic learning rights that are like the competencies that students are supposed to achieve during the school year. Also, our students, public schools, in public schools, they have a book. So for 6th, 7th, 8th grade, they have one that is called Way to Go. And for 9th, 10th, and 11th, they have English Please. So these books are available in all public schools in Colombia. Actually, this is the way that I'm implementing global education in Colombia. So I go to the book, I look at the syllabus, and then I adapt the unit or the lesson into my classes. For example, this one is the lesson is around the world. So what I do is like I go to some schools, like in this case, because I'm a teacher trainer in Colombia, so I go to the towns and then I implement global education based on the units that the books include. Also, I take advantage of the multicultural regions that Colombia has. So here we have the Carnival in Barranquilla. So this is the way that I use the books, but also try to connect the content with our variety of celebrations. For example, in Medellin, we have the famous flower festival. What I do is go there, take some pictures, and plan some activities in my classes based on those pictures that are actually they are real pictures. So I can have students prepare like some projects or even tasks based on those very own Colombian celebrations. And when we happen to have some guests, visitors for some parts of the world, what we do is like, or what we did, it was 3 years ago in Colombia bilingual program. They shared with us some like festivities in their own countries. We have here St. Valentine's, St. Patrick's Day, and we have people, teachers from England as well as from the US. So basically, that's what I want to share with you to begin with.
Thank you, Mauricio. Such colorful pictures, and it makes me feel like I want to go there and see what you've been doing. So, well, what we wanted to do was first to get you familiar with the context that we come from, and we do come from really, really different contexts, all 5 of us. And now we're going to start talking about what our observations or experiences are about having implemented or having seen our teachers implement global education into the contexts that we represent. And while we do that, I know Glenda has already texted in the chat box suggesting that you post your questions. I would encourage everybody to also share their observations or their experiences, because I can see that you're all from very different contexts as well. So it'll be very exciting for us as a PLN to see how some of the practices are in your context, because that is the whole purpose of getting together on this forum. So I'm going to start by talking about Pakistan, and so that I can share with you some of the practices that I've observed there. Glenda, are you able to share the PowerPoint?
Yes.
I just want to see the slides on global education in Pakistan, that's all.
Okay, let me
Yeah,
put that.
if that's easy for you, otherwise I'll just talk through, no problem.
Okay, let me see. Is this what you mean? This one?
Sorry,
Mm.
hang on. Yeah, there's one before this as well, right? So I don't have as beautiful pictures as Mauricio showed you, but I can definitely tell you that in my observation as a teacher trainer and someone who's worked actively with teachers in Pakistan and interacted with private schools, let me specify that what the practices that I'm sharing are specifically limited to private schools. Government schools or public schools have their own curriculum and content, and they do things differently, but I will come to that in a moment. At the moment, the private schools in Pakistan that inculcate the Cambridge curriculum are engaged in specific activities, and most of them, in my experience, are focused on skills such as collaboration, communication skills, life skills, and creativity. Creativity and collaboration focus heavily in a lot of education in Pakistan, not just English language education, but just education in general in private schools specifically. So you might see students engaged in activities such as class assemblies, where they present specific things that the class teachers ask them to present. Lots of parents' these days, there are more, because of more global exposure, because of global education, you are likely to see grandparents' days, aunts' days, Mother's days, Father's days. Activities like these are included in schools now. And dramatics focus heavily in our entire educational system. Students are encouraged to enact out plays. Festivals are a major part of our educational system. And then when it comes to communication skills, although I've listed a lot of activities, debates feature heavily in our education system in Pakistan, and students are encouraged and they're really encouraged to participate in debates. It's seen as a sense of achievement. With some focus on English language as well, but the techniques of debates are considered significantly critical to have. And then life skills these days, again, this data has been taken from a lot of English language teaching course books. So when I say life skills, I really mean things like information literacy, researching for data, critical thinking, presenting your essays in a certain format, and then reflective skills, reflective essays, and also decision making in problem analysis. And then creativity, as I said, features heavily again. There are lots of art competitions, and those are, attached to significant awards in every level of school. And then research projects in senior classes are important, and they count towards the build-up towards the Cambridge exams as well. And then by literary enactions, I mean dramatics again, enacting out plays. So those are the kind of skills that they focus on at the moment in the English language teaching curriculum. I've had a look at numerous English language course books across the board from the teachers that I've dealt with. So this is what features heavily. Glenda, would you consider moving to the next slide?
Yeah, sure.
Thank you. And then it's not, if you step a little bit away from English language teaching, again, this is the private sector, you will notice that a lot of other cross-curricular learning is in focus as well. So at times you may see current affairs integrated as part of project work or as part of an activity extension to something the students have learned in English language, in an English language class. Scientific essays come into focus as well. Then there are skills like looking at maps, planning journeys, and they all, this is an extension of geography into English language teaching. Then things like calendars, charts, graphs, that's an extension of math. Also, a lot of history features heavily. Our culture is based on historical information. So that seems to be a very important part of English language teaching as well. So one of the things I want to add is in the last few years with the previous government, there's been a shift towards integrating a single national curriculum in the country. And a lot of money and effort and manpower has been associated with that. Last year in 2022, the single national curriculum was in progress. It was implemented into the country in different stages, and I believe that is complete now. Now, if we have any Pakistani colleagues here in our session tonight, they might be able to share more recent updates because I've been disconnected from that for the last few months, but I do know that that's been implemented. And one of our major challenges is that language policies change continually, which is why, apart from the fact that the Cambridge curriculum-based schools continue to do the things that I've shared on my slides, the other mainstream schools generally have a shift in the kind of curriculum they're able to offer, and most often it is the public sector schools. So up until last year, the single national curriculum was an important mandate. This year, the government has declared that Urdu will be the most important language in the country. So we're not sure, I'm not sure what kind of changes that will bring about, so I'm unable to comment on that. But if we have colleagues from Pakistan, I'd love to see your comments in the chat box. And then towards the end of the session, we will invite you to share some observations and questions as well. So that's all from me. Pakistan is in two different shifting segments at the moment in terms of global education implementation, and this is associated with the language policies. I'm going to pass to one of my other colleagues who might want to talk about their.
Please.
Okay, Glenda.
Yes.
Global education in your
yes.
context.
Okay. Yes, in my context, yes, I want to take some ideas from Naziha. All the things Naziha said, yes, how how this is being implemented in her country happens in Peru, but only in international schools, yes, that have the international baccalaureate. Only them are doing all the things she said. In public schools, there's nothing. I mean, nothing. We are very different. Although Colombia is our neighbor, we're very far from still having books or having some sort of implementation. The idea has been born, yes, at least, and that's very positive. As you can see on my screen right now, in 2020, yes, the 29th of July, the Minister of Education finally engaged in serious conversations with other teachers and policymakers to create this document that is called the Proyecto Educativo, yes, Proyecto Educativo Nacional 2036. Yes, and here now they have started, these are the bases, the foundations to implement global education in the national curriculum. Yes, so we have just begun. However, although this is just begun in my country, individually teachers are doing things. Yes, and for example, but it depends, it's something very personal. At the moment, what I do is because I have the faculty to do that, and because the director of the where I work, he's very open to initiatives, to collaborating with other people and other teachers. And because I have the contacts, thanks to TESOL, thanks to these meetings, I have so many people. I mean, I have met so many wonderful colleagues around the world that I have been able to, for example, last year I partnered with a friend from Germany. Maybe you know her. Her name is Kanduk. Yes, and with Kanduk, my students and hers, although she's in Germany and mine are in Peru, they got together and we met at a storytelling course. And thanks to storytelling, then we thought storytelling is a very good way to encourage, I mean, these ideas of global education. And we got together to create these gatherings, and we met like every 2 weeks, my students and her students, to exchange stories. Yes, and in that way, we created this very nice environment. And we, in the end, they came to realize that we were not very different. And also we learned that we had many German words, and we didn't know were German words incorporated into our language. We also learned that we used, there were cities. We thought, okay, this is just a name they have given to this, for example, a beer brand. But no, it actually was a country in Germany. Well, not a country, what am I saying? It was a town in Germany. So we learned a lot, and it was like a very good initiative that we want to redo this year with her in the next semester. So, but that is something very personal, because I am very interested in developing my students' awareness of other cultures, and have this collaboration with other teachers who are willing to have these moments for critical thinking and for creative thinking, because also we exchange so many stories from our countries that then we also made up a new story out of the two. And it was a very, very good way to start, I think, this initiative of, at least where I work, to have global education into our lessons, right? To go farther than just the teaching of English, because at the moment in Peru, that is what rules. And here, maybe because we need the money, it's like, sometimes it's a job opportunity. I mean, to offer textbooks, to have a business where you sell textbooks. So there is a lot of that here. And on the one hand, it's good to have a textbook that orientates how you're going to work and all the things, how they should be taught or what should be taught at different levels. But sometimes I feel it's like a trap, because we have a textbook and then we don't see how to incorporate global education if the textbook doesn't mention that. And we have to cover the book because the parents have paid for the book. The students say, we are not covering this. So it's like a trap. It's, where do I make this fit into my course if the book doesn't cover this? So that's a big challenge for us in our country, because we have textbooks. Almost every school has a textbook, and the major companies, well, there are very well-known names that are very popular here, and almost everyone here works with a textbook of English, and not many of them have this global education still like in their framework. Well, that's what I wanted to share. And now the floor is yours, Fayyaz. Thanks.
Thank you so much. So here I would like to talk about what happens in Saudi Arabia in terms of global education. So in Saudi Arabia, like we have three or four different types of school systems. At the top is the government schools, which is supported by the government, of course, and they have all the big facilities. On the second tier, we have private schools which use Arabic as language of instruction. Then on the third level, we have international schools, which actually follow Cambridge or Oxford Cambridge exam system or American exam system, SAT. And then we have community schools, which actually serve to the parents or children of different communities who live in Saudi Arabia in large number, you know, like Pakistanis, Indians. So we have an Indian school, we have a Pakistani school, Filipino school, like these. So in terms of all these four different strands of school education, they all follow different types of curriculum. But one thing is common in all that there is, when we talk about English language instruction, and when we talk about the global themes which are covered in those syllabi, there is not a central authority which actually has a kind of control over that. So in different places you will go, you will see different textbooks being followed, different programs, different curriculum being followed there. The same thing happens with the universities. When a student finishes, especially I'm talking about the Saudi nationals, when they finish high school, their English language is not at the par that they can start higher education in English, especially when it comes to their specifically subject of specialization or majors like IT or other things. So what each university does, what do? They have their own English language program, which is called PYP. That's called a preparatory year program. Again, it's each university has its own kind of method of teaching, its own syllabus. So there's not one single kind of regulatory syllabus which is being followed everywhere. No, it's not like that. So these preparatory programs are handled by different agencies, international, which actually work internationally. They hire teachers, they train teachers, they have their own syllabus, they have their own methods, training sessions and everything. So with different universities, you will see different agencies taking care of these preparatory year program. Now, coming back to global themes in all these books, syllabuses. So each syllabus actually is based on a particular kind of book. For example, we have some famous and popular names, Headway, Cutting Edge, Explore, or something like that. So in Interaction, Interchange, something like that. So if you look at the contents of these books, you will see that all of them follow the same kind of topics, starting from myself, a person's own personality, his house, his city, his town, moving on to country, and then finally, like towards the last chapters, it discusses some global issues, but not in its high, complicated form. So they talk about international food, international culture, dress, languages, sports, these kind of things, festivals, cities, city life in different parts of the world. So that's up to that, like you can say that global themes being followed. Now, in the national curriculum, I was having a closer look at that recently. The global themes, like, for example, the global issues which the humanity is facing these days, like pollution, corruption, poverty, child labor, the difference between gender-based workplaces practices, these kind of issues are the part of school and university curriculum, but these are not practiced a lot. these are not used as prompts for writing and reading or in class speaking in many schools, even in community schools or in private schools. So when students come from high school to university, they come with lots of these problems of understanding of these global issues and how to discuss them, how to react to them. So a lot of in a lot of places, preparatory university program teachers, they try their best to bring students to that globalized contexts, globalized situations where they understand people living in other countries and their issues and lifestyles. Here, there is another problem. Like in other countries, we have like between high school and university, there is a buffer zone, which we call colleges, which actually prepare students for university life. We don't have that much in Saudi Arabia. In Saudi Arabia, we have TVTC, technical and vocational colleges, but obviously they deal only with the vocational part of education. So when students come to universities there and they want to really start their specialized courses or majors, but first they have to deal with these kind of things. There are other few points, if I have time, I would like to talk about. So Saudi Arabia, like other Gulf countries, is a highly tribal society. In any other tribal society, the matters of trust are actually discussed within the clan, within the family, within the close circles, and people don't trust strangers easily. So this thing creates a kind of hurdle when students come to English language classes and when they want to discuss the global issues. They cannot, they don't find the courage, because they don't have that kind of communication before or mental training, how to talk about these things in the context of the world. So they feel this kind of hesitation. They're shy to discuss about these issues. And here, now I would like to talk about my own situation. I'm teaching in a private university. Private university is quite expensive here. So what we get a kind of upper class students, right, who travel abroad, who have a lot of interaction with the Western world, with other cultures. They go to Turkey in every vacation or something like that. But even then they find it really hard to discuss those issues and connect them to international context and bind them with the local situations or create a connection between them. This is one issue that I see it happening a lot. So there's a lot of biasness because of the lack of reading, because of the lack of reading culture here. When students discuss about other cultures, they discuss it with a lot of biasness, and they say that, well, for example, when I take a reading passage to class about China, so students say, I don't want to go to China. They eat frogs, they eat snakes. I hate it, like that. So these kind of issues are there. And there's one more issue, which is actually getting less and having a less impact these days, because Saudi society is opening these days. So like before 2016, we had segregated classes, like girls in girls campuses, boys in boys campuses. But now, since 2016, when the Saudi society is opening up, now we are having a lot of co-ed classes and courses where girls and boys can sit together. But still, for girls, I have noticed that it is a kind of once in a lifetime chance. They love to take all these chances to show their confidence, and they flaunt it, really. But boys, when I ask, and this I have heard from many of the teachers, that when boys are told to come in front and speak in front of the girls and present their presentation or slides or something like that, they feel that it's so hard, they can't express themselves or something like that. And they feel more comfortable within the class, which is all for boys. Again, it's a cultural impact. Now, another impact of what is the result of that thing in discussing global issues? Now, when it comes to talk about, for example, women's rights, when it comes to talk about women's position at workplace, women's position at different aspects of life, their rights, it's I hear a lot of biased opinions, which are really sometimes strong. So I think as now women can drive, women can work in restaurants here in Saudi Arabia. Now we have cinemas since 2016. So I think things will change. The change is coming now, but it's slow, it's gradual. So these are the issues. So what I do, I try to create a lot of space in the class. I allow class discussions, encouraging original opinions. I try to focus on idea generation with the help of, so I encourage students to connect things with causes, reasons, comparison, contrast, effects, counter argument, classification, these kind of things, so that they can get into critical thinking. So what I do, I take articles from international magazines, I adapt them, and I take it to class. Sometimes my writing classes are all discussions, because I just want them to talk, to think, to take notes. And one thing that really helps in creating understanding of global issues, I invite students to create a list with me about the topics that they want to write about, their core projects. For example, if their project is to write an essay, I ask them, okay, suggest me the topics, and I type them and I share it with them. I also invite my students to come and join me, and we design a rubric together. We decide, okay, how much grade should go to just punctuation or mechanics, and how much grade should go to idea generation. It's a nice discussion, but I've seen that with this flexibility, with this little bit freedom that they have, they take time, but finally they come up with lots of ideas, and they start thinking about other cultures, other countries. And this is in creating this kind of space for global themes in my classroom. I have taken lots of ideas from my colleagues and I have applied them, and it's really helped. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you. That was very, very informative. And now, Sherihan, how about your context?
Yes, let me share the screen with you. Can I share the screen, please, Naziha?
Yes, I
Of
have
course.
just clicked on. There you go.
Okay. Give me a second. So can you all see the screen, I guess, right?
Yes.
Okay, let it be on a slideshow. All right. So as you all were saying, that global education is very important, because it opens people's eyes on and their minds on what we are having now, what are the realities that we are having now in our world. So it's very important now. And luckily in Egypt, it is now having this education. It was now approaching since 2015, as I've mentioned, where we are having this introduced to our students. We gave them the information about the life skills that they really need. They need what are the skills they need in learning? What are the skills they need in their active citizenship, the personal empowerment, their employability, and how to work on every skill of that. And this was tackled, luckily, in our curriculum, which is either the Connect, which started from the KG, as I mentioned, with the kindergarten, and then goes on to the primary. And now it is having the 6 years of primary. We have Connect now being tackled and studied with our students. So now we are introducing to the students what is meant by critical thinking, what is meant by creativity, how to expect them to work on this issue, and how we expect them to solve this problem. And we were luckily also having a very huge change in the professional development approach for our teachers. After COVID-19, it was a very good opportunity for all of us around Egypt, mostly of us, that we had different professional development opportunities and courses. And we worked on teachers were very eager to know how to teach that part in that way. And new approaches of tackling vocabulary, new approaches of tackling the grammar and the structure. It is not in the way that we used to do, where we have to introduce the form and then we teach the structure and the example. No, it's not like that anymore. It is more into inductive way. It is more into the students think and grasp from the example what is meant by the form and how we tackle it. Now, the teachers in Egypt, I'm proud to say that they are now starting to work on that, starting to change their mindset. Though not all of them, of course, and this is normal, but nowadays, I as a teacher trainer and working with the teachers, and as at the kind of the same time as a managerial part in my school, I can see the teachers are now eager to learn. They are now approaching more into the global education way, more into how we have the students know more, how to work on themselves and how to approach the different parts of the new way of education that we are having. So this is a very good curriculum that we are having now, where we can have different ideas. The topics that they are tackled are very into context of the students. It is very authentic, where they learn what to do at school, they learn what to do if they are going a trip around Egypt, and most of the lessons are from different parts of Egypt, different cities where they are familiar with. It is not anymore into the foreign culture or the new things that they are not used to. So it is a very good opportunity for them. And of course, we were also lucky to have the Egyptian Knowledge Bank, where all the teachers now are ready to log in, get different resources for the material and for the curriculum that we are working on. And this was very good for us and very good opportunity for most of the teachers to have that. So now I can see that when we are having in our national curriculum, in our normal curriculum, where it is tackled in all the public schools, we have global education, where we follow the development education, give human rights education, approach sustainability education. We start to talk about peace and conflict prevention and how we introduce our students to it. The intercultural education now is very well spreading in most of our schools. Again, not all of them. It is already tackled in the as Fayyaz schools, in the IG system, in the American system. It is already tackled that in that way. But in the public schools and in the national system and in the Azhar system, very good part for the educational future until we reach 2030. You know that there are different skills. We used to have the reading skill, listening, speaking, and reading skills. But now we have another skill which is approaching us, which is the intercultural skill, where we have to be open to different types of culture, and we have to be open to different types of information, and to accept different culture rights. So again, as I mentioned, in our curriculum, we have the global leadership. There is a part where the students approach and apply different leadership skills. There is a kind of interdependence, social justice, conflict resolution, diversity, where we accept the people who have different disabilities, like the ones who are working on wheelchair, and we teach the students how to deal with our colleagues who are using the wheelchair. We teach our students how to deal with our colleagues who are having different disabilities, like visually impaired. So we have a whole lesson for the sign language and how we use them and how the teacher approaches this with them. Also, we are using values and perceptions, human rights, and of course, sustainable education and sustainable development, where we can have in our curriculum. So this is a kind of reflection, a very brief reflection on how we had the global learning and the global education approach in Egypt. It is not the very wow part, but it is going on a good track, I can see. So thank you so much for listening.
Very interesting. Mauricio, let's
All
go back to
right.
the other part of the world again.
Okay. Now, after sharing with you what is happening in Colombia when it comes to the curriculum, let me share with you now the way I apply the content of those books into my classes. Basically, I followed like this definition of global education, divided into three big groups that are knowledge, skills, and attitudes. Since I love geography, I base some of my classes on geography. That is the knowledge that students need to acquire when it comes to global education. So let me share with you a couple of activities that I kind of design and that are aligned to our books. For example, this book is Way to Go. The book says, okay, students are going to study the module number 4, which is called Around the World. So I go, I check what the book proposes, and then I design or go beyond the activities. This is an activity that is called Hidden Pictures. So this is a part of a flag of a country. So students need to guess, what is this flag? Okay, for example, what do you think? This is, I mean, when students say, oh, teacher, we don't know, I try to give some clues. And for example, here I say, it's an Asian country. What is the flag? For example, in this case, it's the flag of Japan, right? And after that, I will ask students about the capital. So this is a scramble word. So students are supposed to say that Tokyo is the capital of Japan. These activities can be implemented with basic, intermediate, advanced, super advanced students. If I have basic students, what I can do is have students spell the capital of Japan, that is Tokyo. So this is a way also I'm promoting this or fostering this global education topic. And then I can have the location of the country and ask questions, and we can use prepositions. Where is Japan? Where is located? Where is located? Is Japan a continent? Is an island? And so on. And I happen to be in Japan, so what I do is use my very own pictures. So students can ask questions about, I mean, they can use several grammar tenses. So teacher, when did you go to Japan? How was it? Or more things about that. The food, okay, here we can see a picture of the food. Teacher, what's that? So I don't want to tell the students, okay, please ask questions in present perfect, simple, past. No, it all depends on the level that I'm teaching. Now, I have another flag. What do you think is this flag? Which country does it belong? Okay, when a student,
India.
the country begins with J, J-O-R.
D-A-N.
Exactly. It is the flag of Jordan, right? Okay, actually, I don't know the meaning now, but if we want, I mean, we can go beyond, as I said before, and we can explain, or I mean, have students do some research about the meaning of the flag. And then the capital. So scrambled words, remember, when you have scrambled words, the first letter should be there and the last letter. The letters that are going to be scrambled are the ones in the middle. So the capital is Aman. And then I was there in Petra. I was so lucky, like 10 years ago, I was in Petra. So students can ask questions about the castle, you know, maybe they connected with Indiana Jones, and then, okay, this is the treasure in Jordan, and so on. Many things about that. Now, I love flags. The study of flag is called vexillology. So vexillology is a huge field, and I use them in my classes. So here are some flags. What I do is like a gut feel exercise. Student A has some flags, and student B has other flags. So student 1 has the flag of Japan, and here student B doesn't have it. So the idea is that student A is going to describe the flag to student B using colors, shapes, and maybe the number of stars. And you know, that is why I say what I said before is that this activity can be implemented to different levels. Also, what I do is work on this global topic that is sustainable developing goals. And here, look what I have. I have a sentence. Number 1, if SDGs were set up in 2015 by the United General Assembly, UNGA, and so they have, if this sentence is true, they have to color the letters. They have to complete the chart. For example, this is true. So they have to color 4C. 4C is this one, right? They have to color 6E. So, and they continue. If the sentence is true, they color the boxes. And at the end, they are expected to create a word related to the topic. In this case, we had a guest who talked about this topic. Now, another activity that I do just to promote the knowledge of countries, capitals, is this one. So we have the alphabet. I can have my students repeat or practice the alphabet, A, B, C, D, say the alphabet even backwards. And then I have a question. Let me, okay, this is the, oh, I don't see it here. Let me see. No. Oh, this one, sorry. Yeah, I have, okay. This sentence is supposed to be completed with a country beginning with letter A. No, number 1. Buenos Aires is the capital of Argentina, right? Now, B. La Paz and Santa Cruz are cities in Glenda?
Yeah.
Exactly. Now, this is the flag of with C. Exactly.
Why am I answering all the questions?
Copenhagen is the
Very
capital
knowledgeable.
of. No, so this slide can last 5 minutes or even an hour. It all depends on the time we have. Why? Because we can have students ask questions. If we start in the present perfect, oh, have you ever been there? Do you want to be there? So present, past, future, everything we imagine. So we go ahead, and with Galapagos Islands are in, and so on. So this is the activity that we can use also. And there are each one with, all right. And now, and then we have, okay, this one. This is a box with with 9 sentences. What we're going to do? Sentence number 1 says, this is the definition. Taking a role of moral or formal authority to organize a group of people to achieve a common goal. So students are supposed to complete this chart or box with the word whose definition is this one. So this one is, for example, leadership. So they completed leadership. Now, leadership ends in P. It's kind of a hint for the second word. So the second word, this is the definition: a state of enduring, difficult, of tiresome. Okay, this is the definition. So students need to find what is the word and keep completing the chart. This is patient. And then they continue with number 3, number 4, number 5, 6, 7, 8, and finally they do this. I mean, this is a advanced activity, but you can adapt it to low levels. And finally, when I'm going to summarize an activity, a lesson, a unit, what I do, this is the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 strategy. What is that? So in this case, let's suppose that our topic was about Colombia. I can say, okay, guys, now, please write down 5 Colombian cities. Then 4 Colombian celebrations. Then 3 Colombian typical dishes. 2 Colombian singers, Shakira, Carlos Vives. And number 1 Colombian landmark that you or I would like to visit. This is about Colombia. But when it's more general, in case you are giving a teacher training, you can say, okay, even for our meeting today. So you can say, all right, now let's complete it with 5 keywords you got from our presentation. 4 new ideas, 3 activities I will or you will implement, 2 additional activities I want to share, and finally a question I have for Naziha, for Glenda, for Sherihan, So this is the way that it's called 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 strategy. And I can also do it in Spanish, not only in English, because also I can have global education into my Spanish classes. And that's it.
Wow, that was a lot. Yes, that was a lot.
That
In
was-
Peru, we are like just taking baby steps. Yes, but as I said, it depends on each individual. Yes, and now what do we do now?
So I think this was a very exciting insight into everything that each one of us does. And I almost want to be in Mauricio's class. He seems like a fun teacher. So I want to be his student now. But also, even as a participant of the Global Education PLN, I feel like I learned a lot about the context in which my colleagues are and the way they implement global education. So it's fantastic insight. Now, the reason I'm feeling so excited about this is because that's what I would like all of our participants to be able to do at some point, right, Glenda? Isn't that the purpose why you want a platform like this, why we all are together as part of this PLN? So what I'd like to do is, first of all, I'd like to thank everyone who joined us for the Chai, Coffee and Research session tonight, although the coffee and chai was your own. So, and it's a virtual environment. But we've definitely, Glenda, Mauricio and I have definitely done this face-to-face at the TESOL International Forum earlier this year, but we presented things a little bit differently. So we met in person and did it, and that was a lot more fun as well. Now, what I'd like to suggest at this stage is the floor is open. And if you'd like to, everybody, talk to the Global Education PLN or share some insight from your own context, you're welcome to do so. We'll stick around for another 20 minutes or so that everybody gets an opportunity. You're welcome to unmute yourself, come on screen and talk to us. I'll unpin all of us so that you can, be visible. So this is your Q&A time. So feel free to either type in a comment or question or come online. I know some of us have been responding to you in the chat box. So some interesting observations were made there. So the floor is open. You're welcome.
Yes, there was a comment here. Well, more than a comment, it was about a question, but I'm not sure if this was a question for Fayyaz or a question for Mauricio. And it was about the rights. One of you mentioned basic rights, and they were asking what you meant by basic rights.
Yeah,
I'm not sure who that was for, though.
Yeah, it was me. It's basically the way that in Colombia, the Ministry of Education decided to call the competencies.
So the competencies are called basic rights.
Basic learning rights, BLRs. Yeah.
Okay.
Mm.
I guess this is also a good point at which we can ask everybody, do you have any activities to share? Is there a strategy that you use in your classrooms uh, in implementing global education? What Sherihan made one very important uh, uh, comment on the use of textbooks. She said we have Egyptianized all our textbooks. I think you were trying to describe how the books have changed. And I can relate to that, Sherihan, because in my time of teaching in the UAE, we also moved away from Peter and Jane to, Mohammed.
And John. Mhm.
Yeah, assalamu alaikum.
I'm
Good
sorry.
evening, everyone. Can I have a question or a comment?
Yes, go ahead, Marwa.
Thank you. First of all, thank you very much for this interesting maybe conference or mini seminar or something like that. And I'm so glad to hear from you all. And I want to comment on using Connect, the curriculum of Connect, which Dr. Sherihan talked about, because I'm Egyptian and I live here in the same country. I think it is a great step in Egyptianizing, if you can say, the atmosphere of or the environment, the learning environment, because before this we weren't familiar to the names, the actions, even the lifestyle of the books which we taught students, especially in the public schools, of course. Maybe if someone wants to learn something international, he goes to the private schools or the schools that are designed for this, to let people know about the international life. But in the public schools, we had again to see different places than ours. When we had Connect, it was a mix between what we have around us in the same environment as Egypt and how to contact it. It's Connect, really, it's the name of it. How to connect this environment to the whole world through friends around the world, through visits, through even through reading. For example, some texts were about to read about, for example, Venezuela or Indonesia or maybe Finland. So they were great, well put, and I like this curriculum, and it's rich enough to let students read and know more vocabulary. Maybe it's just little difficult, but they got familiar to it because the same material that they study in Connect, they study it in the whole subjects, or all the subjects. They study the same material in social studies, math. They are related to each other, so they can find it everywhere. Then they need only some vocabulary to know and how to read these texts. Then they go on and become more fluent in this important language. So
Right.
I
Thank you so much, Marwa.
yeah, thank you for tackling this point.
Very insightful. I also think that if Fayyaz has been collecting information on people who've registered for this Global Education PLN. Now, if all of the participants here are those who registered prior to attendance, he will be adding you to the list of database, right, Fayyaz, so that we can keep you informed of our
Yes,
activities.
sure.
Yeah.
Yes, sure.
But
It's
in
my
case
honor.
you haven't, we'd love to have you. In case you haven't registered and have just joined today, you're very welcome to send your email contact to Fayyaz.
It's my pleasure.
You know, yeah, just send it to him as a direct message or type it here, and we will keep you updated with what's
Actually, I
happening
registered,
next.
but maybe late because I entered the meeting just from an hour. So I don't know if I registered right or you didn't receive it yet. Anyway, I will contact you.
But we're glad to have you here. Thank you for joining us,
Thank
regardless
you.
of whenever you register.
I will
Right.
because just so excited about having webinars, and I sent the link to a group of teachers, and some of them, maybe 3, joined at the last minutes. So again, I can spread the word, inshallah.
Not a problem. Some of them might be on Facebook Live. We're also broadcasting live on Facebook at the moment. So
Right.
you never know. Right, Glenda, is there anything you'd like to add if we're not getting any more questions or observations?
Well, actually, I'm very happy to see that all of you have gathered for this initiative. But basically, well, I have very little to share, just what I do personally, and I think all of us have shared. And I mean, the floor is yours. I'm not sure if anyone else would like to share a tip, or perhaps
Oh yeah,
have another way to implement global education that maybe we haven't mentioned, or any comments, because this is your chance until we have a next event.
Can you share one rubric that I developed with the help of students?
sure.
So here, this one. All right, okay. Not this one. Sorry. So let me share the screen here with you. And wait. It's always the trouble. I have opened so many things. Okay. All right. So wait. I will just take 1 minute and I will share.
Okay, it's exciting to see so many people sharing their emails. We'll keep you posted about upcoming sessions, and we'd love you to participate. Thank you so much, Deborah. It was great to have you here. Very encouraging to us as a PLN as well. Thank you for joining us.
Okay,
Thank you, Mohammed.
I just want to say one thing here. Is there any way that we can save this chat?
The chat will be saved with the recording, Fayyaz,
Right.
so we'll have it. Yeah, no problem.
Right. Because
Yeah.
you know it's really hard to note down all these emails from the chat. So it would be much better if everybody would just send an email on this address. I'm sharing it again. Yep.
Yeah. Okay, I have an easier solution. I'm putting a Google Doc here where people can just, if they type it in, I can see it live. So everybody, before you log off, just click on the Excel link that I sent. Just a little bit of work for you, resending it. All your emails will be in this file live as you type them in. All right.
That would be helpful. Yes. All right. So here I would like to say a few things about this rubric that I developed about an essay. The essay type was argumentative essay. The level was upper intermediate, that is B2, according to CEFR. So I actually worked on that with students. The first draft of this rubric was like heavy, long, very lengthy, with lots of details. And then we worked more on that. And I suggested students to make it simplified. And then we came down to this, like we divide the whole thing into introduction, body 1, body 2, body 3. And we went down to counter argument, rebuttal, and conclusion, as it was argumentative essay. So I prepared this with the help of the students. So we covered everything from hook, topic, sentence, a short generalized background, essay plan and method, and so on. So now, when you work with students to prepare to design a document like that, and when students write their first essay, then they really are careful about like how many things they can add, what they can skip, what they have to focus on, what they have to provide, how many details, and so and so and so. So this is one of the techniques that I use to let them generate ideas, not just focusing on their mechanics like spelling or punctuation or something like that. Like, so it was all about ideas. It was all about like, is there this point, this idea, linking sentence, detailed background, claim, argument, or something like that. I just wanted to show that. And it really helped them to generate more ideas about their topics, which were really dealing with a lot of argumentation about global themes. Some of them were like, does Netflix reflect my culture? And one of the essays was, is it wastage of time to travel alone, like that? And there the student actually compared in American culture with Saudi culture. Like in America, a 16-year-old or 18 years old is supposed to go out and find a job and find his own house or her house, her future, like that. Can a Saudi girl do that? So this kind of thing. So this rubric actually created a kind of base to discuss all these issues. That's all from my side.
Thank you, Fayyaz. I think a lot of people have just entered their emails into the Google Doc that I share. So thank you everyone for doing that. That document is live. You can, whenever you access it, just put in your emails. I think that's it for this evening. I'd like to thank everybody for joining us today and spending your Saturday evening with us online, getting to know more about global education. So we will be connected to you, and we're hoping that in our upcoming events or activities, you will be active participants and members. So thank you.
Yes, thank you very much. Have a very good evening, morning, afternoon, and see you soon. Yes, we would love to hear from you. And thanks, Naziha, for this opportunity to be here with you. Yes, thanks for this.
You're welcome. And for everyone who's shared their emails, I'll send you the YouTube recording once it's ready. So have a great weekend.